Good morning, everyone. It's 11:57, so good morning, everyone. Welcome to Gulfstream Park, beautiful Gulfstream Park, and welcome to Gulfstream today. Ron Nicoletti along with Acacia Courtney, and it is a beautiful Thursday afternoon. I know we sound like broken records, but been really enjoying this spring weather here at Gulfstream Park. So we got a little bit of a carryover in the Rainbow Six, but we'll talk about that in a couple of moments, because first we have to remind you that this being Thursday, tomorrow, Friday, is Beat the Expert Day. And guess who you got to try and beat? Me. And you guys seem to do a very good job of it.
Hey, well, you've been on fire lately.
Yeah.
Ron Nicoletti, 5 wins in a row yesterday with on-top selection. So you got to keep that going.
But you know what happens with Beat the Expert Day.
Curse.
It's the curse. So,
yeah.
So it's a lot of fun. You got a chance to win one of those great polo shirts, and you see on my sleeve it says Beat the Expert there. That was my trying to make a mean face. It didn't work out very well. It looks more like I'm straining or something like that.
But you're trying to show off the arm muscles.
Oh, yeah, the guns that I don't seem to have very much. So that's it's a lot of fun. You go to our Facebook page, hashtag Beat the Expert. Let us know you're playing. As I said, you get a chance to win one of those polo shirts, and we'll see how that works out tomorrow. But today, let's run through the wagering menu. And in the first race today, we got our first of 2 pick 5. So that is in race number 1. Acacia is going to show your ticket momentarily. The Rainbow Six, as I mentioned, a carryover of over 6,000, starts in race number 4 this afternoon. Now, in the race number 5 this afternoon, we have both our late pick 5 and we have the rolling super high 5 with over $5,000 in that pool. So that starts in race number 5, and each and every race that has 7 or more horses in it, we have the rolling super high 5. And I mentioned we end the day with our final pick 5 of the afternoon. So Beat the Expert tomorrow. Rainbow Six carryover a little later on. It seems like we took care of all of that. So let's get to race number 1. 5 furlongs on the turf, allowance optional claimer. Fillies and mares, 4-year-olds and upward, or the optional claiming price of $25,000. Scratch the number 6 in here, very humorous. So we'll start today with a 5-horse field. The current favorite up there is the 1-horse, Ilya. So we'll take a look at your ticket first and see if you used that horse.
I absolutely did. The number 1, Ela, on paper does look to be the horse to beat, but I'm using that favorite along with a horse that's 9-1 right now in the 2 Morea. So using a couple to start things off, I really would have liked to go deeper in this first leg. I think it's much more wide open than that 75 favorite. But trying to keep things affordable, 2 by 2 by 2, using 3 in races 4 and 5. $36 for me today. Very
affordable in there. And as I mentioned, the current even money favorite is that number 1 horse. This one from the Ralph Nix barn, Tyler Gaffalione. But current case of second-itis.
A little bit, and she's finished second behind Scuba Sue in her last 2 races, so no Scuba Sue to deal with here today, but you can see in the short comment that she broke out at the start last time, and we'll go back and show that race just to kind of highlight what exactly she did last time out. So she'll be the number 7 here this day, and you can see that she just kind of take a right turn at the break there. And then she does manage to get into a good position after that. She's got a lot of speed to her. You can see her right up front there, the number 7, as we cut to the quarter pole. And you can see that she's closing on the outside out here in the pink cap and the white blinkers. So she's a little bit wide, too. You do have some horses that are inside of her. And you can see that the jockey that day, Tyler Gaffalione, he'll be aboard again today. He is really asking a lot of her. And she is not able to get to the finish line first, but she is beaten just by a slim margin, again behind Scuba Sue, as I mentioned earlier, a horse that's just been in excellent form lately.
And then she's had some time off, so I think she's the obvious choice in the opener, but you're going to have to take that even money. Now, the horse that you also used on your ticket was a horse that I had further down, and that is the 2 Morea.
I did, and I really am intrigued by this filly. I think that she's got some speed, too. It looks on paper like there's a lot of speed. What I do like about Ela is that she does have the versatility and the ability to stalk, maybe sit a good stalking trip from the rail. Hopefully she breaks a bit sharper than she did last time. But Morea tried the turf in her last 2 races, and they've actually been very strong. She finished behind Ela and Scuba Sue 2 starts back, and last time out, she was a bit wide. She was a big price that day. She didn't end up getting the lead, and she finished behind a really nice field. Port McGee closed really strongly that day, and Blue Bahia, the second place finisher, came back to win again with a 79 Beyer speed figure. So I had some interest with her again, trying to find a bit of a price.
Well, we're going to give you some homework here because we have a lot of horses coming this year from fairgrounds, from the New Orleans area, and one of those horses we're going to talk about. Now, the homework I'm giving you, you have to watch how these horses run, you know, shipping down to Florida for the first time. So it's a handicapping angle we still haven't figured out. I'm talking about the 4 Kingston Terrace. This one moved to the run for Showbarn. After that claim, debuting locally, returning to the turf. 16 races on the turf, 6 wins, 3 seconds and a third after rallying in the mud to defeat $7,500 claimers going 5.5 furlongs. As I mentioned, that was at the fairgrounds. Some pretty good statistics, you know, recent statistics on this trainer. He's 28% with new claims, 3 for 8 with turf sprinters. C.J. McMahon also joining us here this summer. And you just have to see how these horses run at the levels that they're being placed.
And that's a really good point, because over the past couple of weeks, trying to kind of figure out how the form will carry if they do need to take on paper what looks like a drop in class to have a lateral level of competition here at Gulfstream. So we'll see, but Kingston Terrace did win in the mud last time out, but she's a hard-knocking 7-year-old mare. She is a 6-time turf winner, so maybe she did have that muddy win last time, but she's got some back class to her for sure.
I like the 3 a little bit in here too. Sunday Sonnet turning back to this abbreviated 5 furlong distance, set the pace, retreated. It was an entry-level allowance race going a mile 8. Kelly Breen is the trainer. Nick Juarez, classic turnback move.
It is a turn back in distance, and clearly didn't really want any part of the 9 furlongs last time out. Maybe the sprinting will be a bit better for her.
Well, let's flip the page and go to race number 2 this afternoon, and this one is 7.5 furlongs on the turf. It's a starter optional claimer, 3-year-olds who started for $50,000 or less, excuse me, or the optional claiming price of $50,000. Do have a significant scratch in here of number 6, Conquest Bandit, who is the heavy morning line favorite.
We do, and I ended up scratching in to fact check. I actually used this horse in second, but he did win very impressively last time out, and we'll go back and show that race on March 16th, and that was his first time stretching out to 2 turns on the turf as well. And so you can see that he's out to the outside here, the number 12, and we'll let it roll, and you can see how he ends up being very wide to the outside. Again, the number 12, you can see him out here along the outside, but he shows a lot of early speed. So now he's stuck a little bit wide in here, and you can see him crossing over into the first turn. Now he's out here in front all by himself, just moving this way, and I think that he had to be used hard early, show a lot more early speed because he was drawn in that outside post. And I almost kind of wonder if, well, it was a combination of the post and the stretch out in distance, if they kind of found what his preferred running style is, and that is being on the lead. So I'm curious to see what he'll do tactically today.
Yeah, I mean, he's a logical choice to be up there. Todd Pletcher, the trainer this afternoon. But I did go to the inside with the horse you have in second, and that is Fast Eddie. He actually scratched into him in the same way that you did with the scratch of the 6-horse Conquest Bandit. Fast Eddie, he's stepping up to face winners. First outing since responding to the addition of Lasix with a $50,000 maiden victory at this distance was back on January 15th. Want to show you a stat on Christophe Clement, the trainer. Layoff of 61 to 180 days. A winner last time out on the turf at Gulfstream Park. He's 4 for 11. 36%. So a limited sampling, but a very good one. 64% of the money. And guess this, positive ROA of $3.01. So a good stat there with this horse.
That is a great stat to show, and actually comes out of a very strong race that did produce 2 next out winners as well, Majestic Tom and Osvaldo, both of whom earned Beyer speed figures in the high 60s for their next wins. And even in the debut, it didn't really run a step on the mud, but was running against the likes of Always Suspect, who went on to win again in Allowance Company and then be stakes play. So this horse has got some class to him. He is kin to stakes winner April Hayes as well. So I definitely like him. By no means would I single fact check. I was just impressed with how he ran last time.
It was really good. Anytime you can win from out in post 12, and you saw he did not back up in the stretch. He just kept moving forward, and great connections. I don't have to tell you about Todd Pletcher, who won the training title here at the championship meet for the 15th time, I believe, in a row. So that's good. And need we say more? We both used the number 3, Mr. Bix. Cutting back in distance, he rallied to finish 4th behind, the horse that scratched out of here. They did battle in a mile in the 16th, so it looks like he moves forward with the scratch of Conquest Bandit.
And maybe he does, and that was kind of a weird race. We've been talking about that a lot from when he won. He got away with very slow fractions on the front end. The only horse that had a good trip, the rest of the field was kind of all over the place. And he finished an okay 4th against winners last time. Unfortunately, Halloween Horror went on to race in Allowance Company at Keeneland and did not fare so well.
Stepped it up into Allowance Company. So let's go to race 3. 1 mile claimers 4 and up. Non-winners of 3 races in life. All race since October 13. This is $6,250. It is on the fast main track. And I went with the number 4. I'm stepping up. But you went with the horse that I had on my ticket, but further down. And that's the 2 High Quality Prince, who's shortening up to this 1-turn mile.
And of course, on paper, I'm stepping it up. Even money on the morning line. That is the horse to beat. But I just think that High Quality Prince fits these conditions perfectly. And that's what I do like about him. He is a 3-time winner, but if you look at the conditions, he really fits in this spot to try and get back to the winner's circle. It's been a while since he's seen the winner's circle, but he's been running competitively against open 6250 competition, which is what I like. So I do see this as a slight drop in class for him. Now, last time out, he was 4th. He's usually forwardly placed, stalking, and he does turn back a bit to the mile distance, which is where he does have a victory.
I mean, all the things you said are absolute, but the last race was just 7 days ago, and that's why I backed him up a little bit on my ticket. And as you mentioned, the big favorite in here, is he actually even money on the board in here? I'm stepping it up. He's stretching out to his most accomplished distance. 18 races at this distance, 5 wins, a second, 4 thirds. He chased the pace. He dueled for the lead. He finished, I thought, a game second. It was against 6,250 open claimers going 7/8. All the things you want to hear. Chris Gaddis, Tyler Gaffleone. It's a 9-year-old looking for his first win since last June. But remember the conditions of this race. Non-winners of 3 in life or race since last October. This condition hits this one right in the eye.
It does, and you said all the good things about him. What is not good is he is 0 for 17 at Gulfstream Park, which was where I hit the pause button with him a little bit and promising to be a bit of a short price, but absolutely would use both of those horses on the ticket. The number 6, Fletcher, is golden. Pretty disappointing last time out as a horse I really thought was primed to get the win in that field. Bit of an upset with Equilibrium winning last time.
Big jump up when you go to 2 to 3 lifetime, and I think this horse can bounce back. I used him second on my ticket, so I have some faith that he will bounce back. We're going to take a short break, and when we come back, we'll show you my Rainbow Six ticket. As I mentioned, a little over $6,000 in that pool.
At ExpressBet, we celebrate the champions that make horse racing great. That's why we provide more ways to bet from more places than ever. We've built an entire family of brands to give players more of the rewards they deserve, give bettors the information they need to win, and provide a community for horse bettors. Because the best way to support the champions of horse racing is to champion horse racing. ExpressBet. We are racing.
Equestricon.
Equestricon.
The first ever international racing convention.
The first ever. For the fans.
Meet the legends.
The breeders, the owners.
The jockeys like me.
The best of the industry.
Come celebrate racing at Equestricon.
Welcome back to Gulfstream today. Welcome back to Gulfstream Park. Ron and Acacia, 4th race this afternoon. 6 furlong starter allowance. Fillies and Mares 4 and up, which have started for $35,000 or less. And it's where our Rainbow Six starts this afternoon. And let's show you my ticket. $43.20. 2 deep here with the 4 and 5. And you see the progression. 3, 3, 2, 2, 3. No singles today. Been looking for a single for the last couple of days. Just can't seem to find one in these races. I said, well, this horse could win it, but I'm really afraid of this horse. And as we always mention, this is a template of what we think might happen. So 43.20 for me. Interested to see who you put on top in this wide open affair.
It is a pretty wide open affair. I like the two horses that you have on top, though, because that's my exact as well. And I landed on the number 5, Artie's Bourbon Girl, on top. So guess we're a little flip-flop, but those do look to be the two logical ones, as both Dancing Wind, the 4, and Artie's Bourbon Girl, the 5, are coming off multiple victories. So Artie's Bourbon Girl, speed of the speed, I think. Probably a lot of speed from the 3, Calling Me Home as well. But the name of the game for Artie's Bourbon Girl is to get to the front end, and that's exactly what she did. She took a big step up in competition last time, first off the claim, and did manage to get the win by 3.5 lengths.
Yeah, you know, she's no slouch in that win department, as you mentioned. Elizabeth Doblay's 7-pound apprentice, and Nikki Figueroa in the saddle, so getting in line. But boy, Dancing Wind, this one is turning back to 3/4 of a mile. She notched her 3rd consecutive victory. She defeated 16 optional claimers, going 6.5 furlongs. This horse loves to win. Trained by Gilberto Zerpa. Emissy El Jaramillo in the saddle. I think he's our leading rider by a couple coming into the Thursday card. So lots of things to like about Dancing Wind. But as you saw my ticket, I couldn't just single this horse, even though it likes to win, because I really do respect the 5, Artie's Bourbon Girl.
Both of them like to win. As I said, it's been 2 in a row for Artie's Bourbon Girl, 3 in a row for Dancing Wind, both of them by open lengths. So some really impressive mares in this field. I was also a bit intrigued by the 6, Competitive Player. If there is quite a bit of speed up front, I thought that this was a horse that could kind of sit right in the catbird seat. Was 3rd behind Dancing Wind and Too Clever by half last time out. So another one keeping some good competition and likes this distance as well. 5-time winner here.
Well, the one horse, 15-1 on the morning line, turning back to sprint, due for the lead, faded to finish 7th, but it was a key race, a mile optional claimer, a 25 optional claimer, produced a pair of next out winners, so you knew I was going there with somewhere on my ticket. So 15-1 on the morning line, but I think we have the logical 2 in race number 4, which starts the Rainbow 6 with over $6,000 in that pool. Race 5 this afternoon, 5 furlongs on the turf, claimers, fillies and mares, 3-year-olds and up, non-winners of 2 in life, $12,500. And as I mentioned, not only do we have our late pick 5 in here, we got a super high 5 with a really nice carryover starting today of over $5,000. But let's get to the task at hand and see your ticket in the late pick 5.
And no singles for me either in this sequence. I agree with you. I did try to get a single home yesterday, and I was alive going into the last leg with my single, and that didn't turn out so well. So sometimes you need to have a little bit of coverage. But again, tried to keep it affordable. I did want to spread in the final race. I thought I needed to use 4 horses, and they're pretty wide open. So 2 by 2 by 2. 3 and spreading in the last leg, just $48.
Yeah, it happens to me too. When you have a single and it just doesn't come in, you get wounded, so the next day you go a little deeper. So I can totally understand it. Well, I started it off with the 4-star one who's dropping into 12.5 now, non-winners of 2 lifetime level. He returned from a 2-month layoff. He finished a workman-like 6 against 25 open claimant competition. So for me, it was the drop. I think the drop, you know, is going to help this horse a lot.
And she comes out of a good race. We saw the winner, My Third Eye, come back to win again in the similar fashion yesterday. And that was a race where it seemed like a lot really wanted to be up front. And this horse, Star Wonder, unfortunately got one of the poorer trips. We could see a couple of the other top finishers having a little bit of trouble in the stretch. But I think that Star Wonder was forced to take back and tap the brakes early on, where she is more comfortable being closer to the pace. And that was a fast race last time as well. And 2 starts back, when she did win, she was drawn outside. I think she was used a lot early, but she could get in a comfortable position up close to the pace, drop in class. Certainly looks like she's primed.
Wow, we're in exact agreement all the way across the board for the top 4. That hasn't happened in a little while. The second horse that we both used, Atlantic Gusto, is dropping a notch on the competition scale. Went up. He set a pressured pace in that race. She went up and set a pressured pace. Weakened along the rail. She finished 3rd. It was a 16-2 lifetime claimer at the distance. Milt Wilson, Nick Juarez is going to ride. Tyler Gaffione's is going to stick with Star Wonder.
And what I do like about this filly is she's now in her 3rd start with this barn, or keeping her on the turf. And if you look just from a buyer speed figure standpoint, it was a big improvement from her last dirt race to her turf race last time out. She actually ran okay on the turf earlier on in her career, one with Victor Barbosa Jr., though she did break her maiden on a sloppy track. I do think that she will prefer the turf course.
Well, you know, I think you got to throw on the 2-star. She ran and just tries this caliber competition, close to finish 4th behind Atlantic Gusto last time out. So one of those horses I think that you have have to use somewhere on your Super High Five ticket, as we mentioned, starts in that race. Race 6, 5 furlongs on the turf. Maiden claim is 3 and up. $20,000 clean slate in here. 8 horses, no scratches or jockey changes. I went to the inside with number 1, Olympico, but you went a different way in here with a horse I did not use, and that's Jack of Diamonds. Want to hear about this one?
I did. Well, I think we have a stat to show in a little bit on Olympico, but I did look for an alternative after seeing some of the stats and just the way that Olympico finished up last time out. I wasn't crazy about that performance, so I did look for an alternative. As I said, I think this is a pretty wide open maiden claiming race. So Jack of Diamonds to the outside, trying the turf for the first time and looking for this one for Kathleen O'Connell. I was actually surprised to see this first time on the turf at the maiden claiming level. It's 12% win, but it's out of a sample size of 94 horses at 32% of the money and at just about even ROI. So it is actually a productive move for this barn. There's turf pedigree here as well. The dam was a multiple stakes winner, tried the turf a couple times, but did have 2 siblings that won multiple times on the turf. So a little bit of guesswork, but shopping for a price and some alternatives to the favorite.
And that race last time out turned out to be a good race. 2 of the 5 horses that come back to run won their next start. Yes. So talking about Olympico, this one's going to break from the rail after an eventful outing in the first start after the claim by Jane Sibeli, in which he bumped at the start. He went up to duel for the lead and he tired. It was on a softened turf that afternoon, listed as good. Nick Juarez will be in the saddle, but want to show you a cautionary stat on number 1 Olympico. Jane Sibeli with turf sprinters, all maidens at Gulfstream Park, so we narrowed it down. Only 3 for 61, 5%, 26% in the money with only a 42% return of investment. That was over the last 5 years, and that was a shocker stat. I didn't expect that, but, you know, I narrowed it down at Gulfstream, all maidens, turf sprinters, so I'm sure if you rework this, you know, you can find different angles. It's just one that I was looking at.
But I think it's a really good stat to look at because it does perfectly apply to this horse. And as I said, yes, there was a little bumping at the start last time, but he did end up getting the lead and just really did tire. And it wasn't an incredibly competitive field either. Now, when you look in the first turf start, you say, well, that was pretty good. That race was won by a first-time starter, and No Phone Joe has not turned out to really be a productive race. So I just proceeded with a bit of caution with that one. I did, though, have some interest in another horse trying the turf for the first time, the 5 Tis a Golden Rocket, dropping in class as well, debuted at the maiden $50,000 level. And by Tiz now is actually kin to a stakes winner, a multiple graded stakes place, Try Your Luck, who was a 3-time turf winner, a couple of siblings to win on the turf as well.
Well, the morning line favorite, and here's the horse I put in second, and that's God's Greatness, hoping to find just a little more in deep stretch, rallied to finish third, back-to-back races at this level and distance. So I see a pattern happen here. Juan Arias, Tyler Gaffleone had 0 for 18 maidens, so definitely comes with some baggage.
And that's why I did take a little bit of the wait-and-see approach with this one, though we just keep waiting to see.
Let's go to race number 7 this afternoon. 5 furlongs on the turf, a special weight, fillies and mares, 3-year-olds, and up with a really nice race. And we're going to have 8 in the field with no scratches or jockey changes. And now we're sort of getting back in agreement here, at least with the top pick, and that is Fly Swift, the half-sister to a Grade 1 Breeders' Cup mile winner and a 4-time winner on the turf, and that's Furthest Land, making her 3-year-old debut.
She is, and she's had some sharp works at Payson Park since, and of course there are a couple of concerns. Prior to the layoff, all 4 of her races were actually pretty strong. Even in her debut, she was running against the likes of Lull, who we did see go on in the Breeders' Cup, another Christophe Clement runner. And unfortunately, her last race was not really a productive one, though some of her others have been. But she does need to take that next step forward instead of just finishing in the money. But Christophe Clement does a great job off the layoff.
Yeah, and he's got 2 horses in this race, and one is Fly Swift, and the other one is Well Blessed, so we're going to show you in just a moment. But I want to give you a stat on both those horses. Well, both of them returning from a layoff of 61 to 180 days. Maiden special weight sprinters on the turf at Gulfstream Park. So this one is 3 for 9, 33%, 78% in the money with a positive return of investment of $2.02. Now, Well Blessed is another horse in the race. Now, I went with Fly Swift, so did you, but I could understand number 8, Well Blessed, having a good shot to win it in here.
Maybe so, and we should probably go to Well Blessed next. And she's coming off that layoff as well, as you said, turning back to the 1 turn on the turf. And she probably will be a bit off of her last performance. We'll go back and show that race actually at Gulfstream Park West back in November. And she was actually in a very good spot. You can see the number 2 Sue there that day. And she was trying and trying to make up the ground behind the pace setter up in the front here. So you can see her kind of in that chasing position, trying to make up the ground. Now, what we have seen at Gulfstream Park West is that it is difficult for horses to make up ground. But you see the winner of the race, the 6 on the outside here, just absolutely flying. Would have liked a little bit more of a kick from, excuse me, that was the second place finisher. The pace setter did hold on to win Princess Aquila, but would have liked to see a little bit more of a kick from Well Blessed. She does get the blinkers on today. Unfortunately, she's burned a bit of her money being the favorite in 4 of her 5 starts. We'll see if she can get it today.
Yeah, you had it further down on the ticket, and so did I. I mean, you know, great showing that the replay there. But, you know, you could be an all Clement exactor. And the horse that I put in second was the 3 Sylphide, making her first start. She set the pace, got caught late. She was 4th. It was a maiden special weight test during February right here at Gulfstream Park. Jane Sabelli, Nick Warra's name. It's the daughter of Blame.
It is, and I looked at this horse for a long time, ended up using another horse that comes out of that race ahead of her, and that's the 5 Two-Timing Dancer, who does cut back in distance once again. This horse actually finished ahead of Sylphide in their last race together. That was the last time Two-Timing Dancer was going that 5 furlongs. And if you look at that race, Two-Timing Dancer was really far back, last early, closing very wide. She was beaten by 3/4 of a length. I thought it was a huge performance from her at a big price that day.
Yeah, and you also used the number 6 on your ticket, a horse I did not use.
First-time starter for Ralph Nix on the turf. Some just impressive work tab in here by Mizzen Mast, and the first foal of a mare, Tail of the Cat mare.
Let's go to race number 8 this afternoon. This one, 1 mile on the turf, optional claim of fillies and mares. 4 and up started for 35 or less, or the 35 optional scratch. The 2 red Parasol in here. And I went with the number 5 horse, Be Playful. You went with the number 6, Terry's Big Heart. And I just thought Be Playful, stretching out to a mile, prompted the pace, finished second to a repeat winner in here who's in this race today, and that's Vendita.
And we'll go back and show their last outing together. Vendita really had her own way on the front end that day. So you can see the number 7, Vendita, she wired the field, excuse me, the number 6, Vendita out in the front. And here comes Be Playful on the outside. So we're keeping our eyes on these 2 horses right there. And I thought it was a good performance. You could see the number 7 right there, Be Playful, just kind of trying to get by that pace setter. It looks like she actually even comes back a little bit. I thought it was much stronger from her when she did end up switching leads, a little bit late to switch leads there. I actually did think that it was a good performance from Be Playful, but she's kind of been stuck in that seconditis.
But I think it was, well, in my estimation, that was really a speed favoring week on the turf that particular week. So I flipped those 2 around, but those were my logical 2. The horse I had in third is, as I mentioned, the horse you had on top, and that's Terry's Big Heart.
And I actually think that Terry's Big Heart's going to get a really big setup today, and that just it really could set up for it. Could set up for Be Playful to be closing, but Be Playful just seems to kind of sit in that stalking position and lately just not quite get there. So maybe it was the speed favoring that she was up against, but in her race 2 starts back and even 3 starts back, I thought it was kind of a similar thing from her. Thought Terry's Big Heart, who looks like she's just been moving in the right direction lately with it, which is what I like. She switched back over to the turf in her last couple of races. She's been keeping good company, so I'll try and get her home at a better price.
Our final race today is a 6 furlong claimer, 4 and up, non-winners of 3 in life, or race since October 13th. And we do have a scratch in here of the 1 Visionary Ruler, was my top pick this afternoon, but that is not going to happen. So I scratched into Bluegrass Luck, and you have the number 8 horse right on top of your ticket, and that's Focus on Me.
And I guess we should start with Bluegrass Luck. Actually 12-1 on the morning line, but I don't know if you're going to get quite that because I think word of Safi Joseph Jr.'s claims is starting to get out. But we'll go back and show his last race as well, where he was beaten just by a length. This was on March 30th. He was the number 1 that day, and he was pressured by Harry He, who's on the outside in the red cap around the turn. It did set up for McFly, who is the number 2 horse right here, who ended up closing McFly switching surfaces, and you can see the top two horses just duking it out on the front there, and here comes McFly to close like that and does end up getting the win. But Be Playful, or excuse me, not Be Playful, Bluegrass Luck, the #1 horse, again, just pretty game on the inside like that. So I do absolutely respect him off of that performance because he was pressured and it set up for an outside closer, but he is stepping up in class.
But I want to show you a stat. On Bluegrass Luck, Saffie Joseph Jr., we mentioned how fantastic he's doing. First start after claim with a 50% jump up in claiming price on the dirt. He's only 1 for 5, but he's 80% in the money, so he hits the board in 4 or 5 of those, $1.52 RI. So I just, put it down into a, a spot where, jumping up from 12.5 to the $30,000 level.
And that's a perfect stat, and hopefully you will finish in the money. That's where I have him, and I think that's been good to know. As I said, looks like word is getting out that Saffie does a great job off the claim.
Well, you got Focus on Me, dropping 30 level, getting Lacey, showed speed weekend, 5th behind a repeat winner called French Quarter. I think that's the logical one.
It really could be. And just looking from his buyer speed figures in his last couple of races, he earned a 79. That was after a 15-month layoff, 2 strong races, gets Lasix for the first time. You mentioned French Quarter. He came back to win with a 95 buyer speed figure, and I thought he got the perfect pace setup last time, and but then he was able to repeat that, so that's why I went with this one here.
It's such a fun day that we went over a couple of minutes talking about these races on Thursday afternoon, so good luck with your picks. We're going to turn it over to Pete Idell, and you and I will be back in just a little while, right?
Sounds good. We're only 2 minutes late, not that bad.
We have to take care of these horses that, give us some